Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and more. Because this is a show about hope and happiness, and I want the largest possible platform to help you be happy 88% of the time. And it is November 23rd, and there are 3 things that you can do to celebrate the deliciousness of life. You have my permission to have an espresso. It's National Espresso Day. It's also National Eat a Cranberry Day. And finally, it's National Cashew Day. So enjoy those, savor those, because tasting good food is one of the fabulous delights of life. That's why I call it the deliciousness of life. And I have a wonderful packed show for you today, starting with the Sirens of Silence, a beautiful on-location hashtag Dr. Marissa Reporting Live event that I got to not only get some B-roll for the news, but I got to interview and wanted to bring them on the show because I just love spotlighting people who take something that may look like a disadvantage and creating programs that help so many people. So enjoy.
Here, you know me as the Asian Oprah, and you know that I love to cover events that balance out all the bad news with some good news. And I have the brainchild behind a wonderful program that I got to cover as a beat reporter, and I stayed because I love when people come up with solutions. Yes. So if you could introduce yourself and tell me who you are and why you're here.
Well, my name is Karen Zarcidias Ige. I am the founder and creator of the Sirens of Silence program, and I'm from the Los Angeles County Fire Department. I'm the actual communications manager for the department. Wow. So that's something. It's my business to communicate. And when my son was diagnosed with autism at 2.5 years old, communication is one of the hallmarks that is a challenge for them. And so that was why I came up with it, was because I wanted to be able to communicate with him. I want first responders to be able to communicate with him and other kids with special needs. And that's why this program came to be, because we wanted to make sure that the children that have special needs would be able to be approached in an appropriate way, and that they would be able to work, that first responders would be able to know right away, sense it right away, and know how to engage and communicate and just know how to care for them without using words.
Yes, I saw the boards over there with the feelings and expressions. I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. Usually there's applause at this point. But I don't give it to everybody, but I love
Thank you.
Not knowing your personal side, that the reason why you did this. So I love when people have some challenge and they turn it into something so beautiful that can help so many people. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I have to adjust this because my victim today, or my volunteer to tell us what's good and right about the world, is a captain of Fire Station 41. And you know me, I want to cover those things that are good. So I'm going to have him introduce himself and tell me why we're here at the Sirens of Silence event.
Hi, good morning. Captain Chiyoshi Hasagawa with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. I'm the public education captain. The reason why we're come together is to bring awareness to those that have sensory sensitivities in our community. It gives us an opportunity to introduce ourselves to the public and those with sensory sensitivity kids. As we know, caring has no words, and caring is one of the 6 core values that the county prides themselves. So this component is a 3-part program. It allows the first responders to get training so that we can have a better idea of those that we're serving. It gives the opportunity for those that have sensory sensitivity to expose themselves to first responders so they're not intimidated with us. And last, we have opportunities to give safety toys that the kids can play around with, and that they have an opportunity to express themselves if they're ever going through a tantrum or something else like that. So this whole opportunity is to bring the community together so we can introduce ourselves to them and they can introduce ourselves, and then we can find common practices that will best serve our communities.
That's fantastic. Thank you for what you're doing. I do this at the end of every show. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Thank you.
No problem. This one is going to be different from this one because they're 2 different sizes. This one's bigger than this one. So it's a little bit of math involved. So when the firefighter goes, we'll take that and we'll connect here. And then we'll open these up and we'll just do a real quick math. Look at them, they're good, and then you go ahead. For this plan specifically, what about, do you know what to do? We got special little fittings in case they're there. So if this is too big and you want to go smaller, we'll just use this and we'll take this off. So it allows us to go from bigger to smaller. This is where, well actually your dad, so it's a little bit of math involved. Okay, so if you see the numbers, there's different numbers here, and if you look, there's different sizes. So all we do is when your dad pulls up to a fire and someone wants to run, he'll pull this, and then he'll just do a quick math. He'll say 1, 2, 3. He'll count all the way up to 5, and then he'll open this up, and then that's how he goes and he gets water to the firefighters.
Good morning. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I love covering events that bring out what is right with our community, what's right with the world, what's right with people helping people. And today is absolutely no exception. I wanted to bring you someone who's going to introduce himself and tell him why he's here.
Hi, I'm Anthony Wynn, firefighter engineer with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. And we're here at the Sirens of Silence. It's a.
That was on cue.
Was that good? That was.
You did that on purpose?
It's the first time, so it's kind of a new program. We haven't had this before, but thankful. We'll stand by for that siren.
Yes.
That's not part of the Sirens of Silence, by the way. That's an actual call.
Yes.
Going through. But it's just focusing on the sensory issues that the youth that have autism have. And growing up, we used to love to hear the sirens or hear the horn, and we'd like ask somebody to pull on the horn. But now with these sensory issues, it hurts these kids with the ears. So we just want to make sure that people are aware, and there are other parts of autism that can definitely be spread out.
Yes.
So we just want to spread the message.
Absolutely. So your son is over there, and I think he is going to come and talk.
Hi,
Do you
Nathan.
Want to come? Nathan, introduce yourself.
You want to talk?
Hi, Nathan.
I'm Nathan.
This is
Nathan.
And just now you heard a siren, and what happened? Did that make you feel a little uncomfortable, or you're good?
I'm good. I just want to know what was happening.
Yeah.
Because
Curious.
I always think about what you're doing at work.
Oh, okay. Thinking about me.
You come home and you tell me about your work, and then sometimes it sounds scary to talk about it.
Yeah, we were telling a story before where you used to be like the sounds were loud when you were little, and then you got kind of used to it slowly.
Right.
And I was mentioning that we would have to vacuum 3 rooms away, so we would close 3 doors, and he was still not happy with it, or
Right.
and then we would slowly introduce it, or you'd wash your hands and use the hand dryer, and
Yeah.
he used to not like the hand dryer at all. It was too loud.
Right.
And
That's why
then we'd always carry earmuffs and earplugs. And even today, you don't like loud, fireworks?
Yeah, or sometimes I go to football games and I bring headphones headphones.
Your headphones, yeah.
Earplugs.
And what does that? How does that? It helps you protect your
Ears, because sometimes they play like they have a band, or sometimes I can.
and it's too loud.
Sometimes it can.
So Nathan, tell me what the best thing you enjoy about your dad's job. What do you like that he does?
I think I like that he saves people, and he always wants people to be safe and fight fires, and he sometimes, like, I would see him on either like Father's Day or like at the fire station. Like, he would be happy to see us at work, or you would come home and you would see us, or you'd take us to fun places or vacations.
Yeah, that's a good part of the job, right? The good part about having a job is to take you places, right?
You get lots of like the money, I don't know.
Well, thank you, Nathan.
Yeah,
Is there
thank
anything
you.
You want to say to anybody?
To like people.
To anybody, any of your friends out there? And how about any of your friends that might be out there? Say hi to them or something.
Hi. I hope you're watching this.
Yeah, you got
Hey, who's this friend here, Nathan?
That's Hugo.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Hugo.
Hugo?
Hugo, all right. And this is
Come
your
stand
friend
next to him, Nathan.
Nathan, come on and stand in. Cool.
Yeah.
And what do you think of the sound of silence, or not
Sirens of Silence.
Sirens of Silence event?
Yeah. Sometimes, like we just have to like think that way, like what has been going on there, just like Nathan said. Like we just gotta like keep each other safe. And that like I just want to thank Mom right here. Like for like telling me, telling me everything.
This is a
I'm here.
beautiful mom.
Oh, thank you so much.
So sweet.
Yes.
And,
I love the introduction.
yes, that's the best introduction ever, right?
Yes.
Yes. So tell me, events like this, what this means to you.
It means the world gets to understand my son a little bit better. Yeah. So anything autism related, I'm all for it. I know my son is going to have to live in this world without me for a while, so I just want the awareness of it out there, so that people know about it. There's still, I think, a stigma about it, mental health and mental health disabilities, and I think things like this help people talk about it too.
Absolutely. I've always said I think it's just different abilities.
Yeah.
And I think it's special abilities.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, there's a uniqueness in the
Yeah.
creativity
Yes.
that is just amazing. So
Yes.
that's wonderful. I love that you thank your mom. That will make any mom happy. So you definitely taught your son well.
Thank you.
It's all about gratitude. So this is something that I do at the end of every show. First of all, I'm going to give all of you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award, and I don't always give that to everyone, because I think it's wonderful that what you're doing is helping people understand something that they don't, right? And it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to judge. It's nothing to be mad or sad about. It's just different. Yes? Yeah. All right, so here we go. I do this. It's called Peace In. Can you do it with me? Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. You like inner peace? Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Isn't that a fantastic organization? Please do support them. You can find them at fire.lacounty.gov/sirens-of-silence. And I don't know how I get myself into these things, but of course, not just the event, but I'll be on NBC next year because they're filming a show at Fire Station 41 that you'll hear more about next year. And when we come back, a little interesting way of answering the question of the day. How do I feel better right now? From my jacuzzi. Those of you who know, I had a hip replaced last year, a year ago exactly, actually. And so I've been back on the bike, still in the pool, and using the jets to work out some of the tension because hips don't lie. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to answer the question of the day from here. So keep it tuned to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, CNBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, kcaaradio.com, where you can listen now. Or if you want to watch and listen, especially if I'm filming from my jacuzzi, not me, the jacuzzi, don't go there. But you can get all of my past 580 shows on my YouTube channel. Free subscribe. You'll get an alert at 8 a.m. that a new show is dropping on the weekdays, as well as access to my special series, my Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa playlist of all those shows where I used to do every second week of the month when I was on only once a week. The series, because I'm determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. So you can get those and others. Of course, my Red Carpet playlist with interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, and others. So don't forget, free subscribe. And as promised, here's the answer to the question of the day. How do I feel better right now when things are going nuts around me? From my jacuzzi. Enjoy. How do you feel happy or feel okay or feel good when everything that you want is not coming to you, or you've done something that is not wrong and yet you are getting blamed for it, or people are just driving you crazy? Like, how can you get out of that vicious downward life sucks cycle? How do you do that? Well, I'll take from the teachings of Abraham Hicks. And normally, let's just say we have 8. She says 10, but you know me and 8. So you have 8 things in your life that you could be focusing on. So one is plans for Thanksgiving. One is your relationship with your daughters. Another is your relationship with your friend. Another one is relationship or the health of your parents. Another one is your job and the work that you have to do. Another one is the people you have to work with. Another one is the bills, and the other is life on life's terms. So there's 8 things. Now, if all 8 things are in a state of disarray, then there's really no hope for you. Sorry. But there is always one aspect of your life that is going well. So if you're listening right now, that means you have ears. If you are watching this amazing sight in front of you, you have eyes. If you woke up this morning, you're alive. If you have something in your fridge, you have food. If you have a hot shower, you have a hot shower. If you are, I'm sitting in the jacuzzi because I just did laps, and I was given the okay to do bike after a year after hip replacement surgery, and so I've worked myself up to 22 minutes, and now I'm bubbling my hip that is saying hips don't lie, and you better stretch me out, or I'm gonna punish you today when you walk. So there's always something to be grateful for. I got that from Snoopy, actually. And it's not like the other things are going to magically not be there as things to think about, but there's always an end of the stick on the things that you're concerned about that you can be grateful for. And that's from Abraham Hicks. And that's the way that I feel good, even when I was in the middle of several conflicts that I had nothing to do with, or I knew that it wasn't, my side of the street was clean, and it was my job not to text back, email back, argue back, insist that I was correct. I just had to focus on something else. And it ended up on both things that I was given an apology, which is pretty awesome. I wanted it, but I didn't force it, and it's all good. So I'm hoping that this little cremation of how do I feel good today, question of the day, that I did not put on the show, but I'm doing it right now for you, Diane, will help you this week. All right? Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Have the best day ever. And I hope you enjoyed that little twist to my question of the day. When we come back, I'm delighted to spotlight an interview with a woman who has just a lot of wisdom. Her name is Dr. Reverend Cheryl Ward. When we come back on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC Sports, NBC News, and CNBC News radio station, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. And yes, it is the #1 talk news show in the Inland Empire at 8 a.m., my show, and as well as the #1 talk news station in the IE. So thank you to all those who make that possible, all the guys at the station, as well as you, my listeners. And to thank you, here is the Asian Oprah giveaway for the day. It is an audio book of my #1 bestseller, 8 Ways to Happiness, from wherever you are. And during the holidays, you can get a gift pack that's worth $88 for just $28, and the proceeds go to my nonprofit 501c called 8 Ways to Happiness, helping kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten their birthright to happiness. So the first 8 people to go to drmarissa.life and put in Thanksgiving in the subject line will get that Asian Oprah giveaway. And as promised, without further ado, here's Reverend Dr. Cheryl Ward.
Please welcome to my studio, Dr.
Cheryl Ward. She's an ordained minister Agape at Agape International Spiritual Center. She's the Dean Emeritus of Agape University for 14 years. She's my boss as faculty there. Teacher of classes in spirituality, metaphysics, and self-awareness, abundance, and meditation. She's the author and creator of The Oath of Manifestation. Very powerful. We're going to get to that today. And a spiritual counselor and an attorney. I know that seems diametrically opposed, oxymoronic, a spiritual lawyer, no jokes, member of the California Bar for 46 years. And last but very not least, grandmother to 5 beautiful grandchildren. And with that, I'm going to give you a little more. Welcome to the studio, Reverend Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marissa. I'm delighted to be here. You know, it's been a while since I could hug you. We always hug, and it's so good to be here. I love your show. I love what you're doing. I watched you from the beginning, and now you're huge, and you're all over the world. It's such an honor to see you, because when I first met you was in the class as a student, and oh my goodness, you are light years away from that time in your life now. Congratulate you on that.
And thank you for your role in that. And maybe, you know, I wasn't going to talk about it necessarily, but I think that's a good place to talk about. One, I live my life out loud. And two, because when we talk about celebrating Women's History Month, we have to, I believe, start by celebrating ourselves, because we can put people on pedestals and we can put women on pedestals, but really, if we can't feel good about who we have become, how can we really celebrate Women's History Month? How can we celebrate women if we can't start by self? So let's start with, I mean, at the risk of putting you on the spot, when you say, when you met me,
yeah,
describe the woman I was.
Yeah, I will. Well, you were a student in the class and you had a lot of questions because there were a lot of issues you were facing at that time. And one of the things that you shared in the class was about the foundation, spiritual foundations that help us to gain access to the power that we have in life. It's spiritual power, and there's spiritual principles underlying all of that. So many of your questions had to do with how to apply those spiritual principles in your life, which is a question that has to be answered. Application to your life is key. Because if you just know something and it sits on a shelf like an old book that you never open, why know it? Because it's not useful to you. So in asking questions, and some of the questions that you asked at that time had to do with who you were as a woman. I think you were going through a divorce at that time, and there were a number of issues, one of which I recognize I faced in my life at one point. Powerful women who develop themselves and have marriages or relationships that end, are often required to assume financial responsibility for the partner that's leaving. And that stuck out in my mind. And I remember not doing it in front of everybody else, but coming up to you during the break time to embrace you, to hug you, and let you know that you were not alone in facing something like that, because it seemed so unfair. You had invested a lot of time, energy in your own career, going to school, doing your own lessons, writing your own thesis and dissertation and things of that sort. So when I saw you at that time were really struggling to come up out of emotional battering, which you have suffered in that relationship. Mm-hmm. And you can add anything you want.
Yeah, and if you're just tuned in and you're wondering who I am, the beautiful woman I'm talking to, it is Dr. Cheryl Ward, and she's speaking about a time when I was not the woman you see today, and this is 12 years ago, and I wanted to highlight that. I didn't plan on doing it, but I think that it's important when we celebrate Women's History Month to celebrate and understand the dynamics sometimes for powerful women and for women who have been sort of beat down. I can remember when I was in front of the judge, and they were passing down the numbers of how much I would have to pay my husband and the settlement. And it was quite a large number. And my lawyers looked at him and said, "But Your Honor, that's not fair." And the judge looked at me straight in the eye and said, "Well, you wanted equal rights." So that, my friends, is maybe something we don't talk about when we talk about, equal pay, equal rights, and equal responsibility on that side of the fence. And so when we are powerful women, when we are strong women, when we're not afraid, as you can tell, I'm so shy and a wallflower all my life. Sarcasm is another service I offer. Right. But we have to also accept the responsibility of that. Now you, my beautiful teacher, have a JD, and you're a woman of color, and you're ageless, but we know that you're not 20, right? And because you just said you've been doing this 40 some years, right, with the bar, or tell me what it was like in your journey on realizing that you were not you're not going to be, just sitting and taking orders from people, but we're actually going to be a woman in that position of lawyer.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you and I must have had the same judge, because you quoted the exact words that I had in my situation with my second marriage. What is so interesting, I went to law school, and I went to Berkeley at a time when, this was in 1972, excuse me, at a time when very few women were in law school, and Berkeley, being very liberal, wanted to increase the number of minorities and women. Mm-hmm. And so I fit both categories. When I completed that, what I wasn't aware of were the fact that there were so few women in the field and practice of law. And my first job was here at a firm in Century City, and they had never had a woman lawyer work for them, nor that had they had a Black woman. And so that was very interesting. I began to notice the different treatment. The new lawyers that came in, there were 5 of us. The 4 men were treated a little differently by the mentors in the law firm as they were starting out. The first thing I noticed was that they would go to lunch and have lunch one-on-one with their mentors so they could continue that mentoring during lunch. They were being invited to the homes for dinner, where the wives of the men lawyers were cooking dinners. And none of that was happening for me. And then I realized, that my mentor doesn't want to go to lunch with me. It'll look like we're on a date, and I'm a woman of color, and that's going to be odd. So I had to accept that society was there at that time. And so I was going to have to find new ways to engage to get as much time and attention as the male counterparts, all of us starting the practice of law at the same time, the 4 other men. So that was one of the first things that I noticed. And then later on, I noticed in the court system, as I became a litigator, was that the judges often referred to the women as honey and sweetheart and sweetie. And we weren't anybody's sweetie or sweetheart. So those were some of the real world experiences that we weren't told about in law school. And probably because there weren't enough women ahead of us to be instructors in the law school to be able to prepare us for what possibly could happen to women lawyers that men don't go through.
Yes. And that is I want to acknowledge you and all of the women who came before me, who, I distinctly remember being on a panel speaking. It was a conference, a women's conference. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago. There was me. There was a young woman. I think she was a doctor, and then Gloria Allred, and another partner. And the question came up. The expression being a woman. An effective or a successful woman in a man's world. What does that mean? And the response from my elder part of the panel was, we had to dress like a man. We had to act like a man. We still have to prove that we are as good as and overcompensate for that belief that we're not as good at. And I remember getting kicked under the table by the young woman doctor, and she rolled her eyeballs at me, right? And that moment, I said, you know what? Instead of, wake up, we're not there anymore, which is, maybe her response in her rolled eyeballs, was the appreciation, the gratitude to you and all those women who came before us, who did have to go through all of those humiliating, belittling pats on the back and sweetheart and honey and bring me the coffee and my dry cleaning, even though you're a professional, and I mean, I want to give you the Dr. Marissa's beneficial presence on the planet for so many reasons, but that is one of them. So I'm going to just do this right now because I just love this. Do that enough. Show appreciation. Thank you for all that you did, and biting your tongue, I'm sure, right? And how do you cope with the unfair treatment of women, even today? The interview that Oprah just did with the. I mean, I cannot believe that there are people out there after she bore her heart and her shame and her fear and her sadness. There are people out there who are saying, oh, she's just trying to get attention, and oh, poor you, princess. I am shocked and disappointed that we are just as much, or just like I am shocked and disappointed with what happened to George Floyd, that we, if we can't have and show compassion in Women's History Month, when are we going to be able to do that? So how do you not get pissed off that things are still the way that they are, right? Like Big Brother Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith says, your pissed offedness. Like how do you deal with that?
Well, for me personally, I'll just start there. I have a number of decades going back in which I was a female in all of those decades. So for me, there's a personal lived experience, year by year, decade by decade, where I see the changes that didn't exist in the late 40s when I was born, in the 50s, in the 60s. So in one sense, I see that progression and I'm happy about it. Mm-hmm. But then we come to today's world and we see a whole different ballgame, because in prior years, there wasn't social media. There wasn't so much attention or ability to communicate and shout out, particularly individuals. And so a lot of things that happen to you as a woman of color, as a woman, period, were just local. They were localized events. And so in one sense, you maintain your sanity within that local event circle. Now it's worldwide, as we saw, as you just pointed out, what happened to Duchess Meghan and not having any sympathy. So I think one of the things that we've lost in the world now is the ability of compassion. It's missing. If a tragedy comes, like fires or like hurricanes or tornadoes and flooding and all of that, we do rise back. Our compassion comes back. We become givers, we become helpers. And that is, to me, a good thing to remember, because that's how we're all connected. The weather and things, major events seem to be the great equalizer for
COVID.
Yeah, COVID too. Like, we're all in the boat together and nobody's getting off the earth. So you can't have a more superior position. You can think it, but it's not going to be, you speak from that position. So here, what has developed because of social media is the ability to be very vicious and bullying. That has increased and bully people and tear people down. Why is that happening? Only people who don't love themselves do that. So it's indicative of a larger problem underlying everything. People are not satisfied with their lives. They're not living their best life, as Oprah would say, nor have they discovered how to. So what do? They get on a platform where they can have a loud mouth, where they can engage with people and tuggle in an emotional tug of war and hold positions and come up with conspiracy and theories of that sort. And so we're living in a world now where all of that is swirling around. And it's indicative of a number of people who are engaged. It's probably smaller than we know, but they're very loud and they're very consistent, very frequent. They live for that. So to me, it's a call for, there needs to be healing for those people who haven't found their passion, haven't found their love. When you're in your passion, as you know, and you're working it, and every day you're able to get up and do something for which you're passionate about, you're not out calling somebody names or attacking. And who do you attack? The people that you feel are powerful, the people that have notoriety. Let me pull them down. Let me lessen there, because I don't want them to be that great. I don't want people to admire them. I want to be admired. But you haven't done anything that would contribute to the world to be admired for anything. So this is my own take of it. This is what I see. So one way of coping is, let me first understand before I attack, because attack brings more attack. And I'm not helping. I'm contributing to the worldwide problem on social media of being able to anonymously, because no face, nobody knows me, I get to say vicious and horrible and horrific things and tear you down. Now I'm getting some notoriety when you respond back to me. So that's a sickness that is going on. When you understand the sickness, you try to heal. You don't try to make them more sick. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I'm not going to be in that relay of exchanges back and forth. I'm going to do what I do best. Number one, I go into a prayerful state. I pray for the person who feels so unnoticed, so unimportant, so unlived, so not in their passion and their reason for life itself. So those people have to be lifted up. And I'll say this, and then I'll stop. One of the things that we know from our spiritual work, and which is proven by our quantum physicists, is that energy and frequency coalesce. The more energy you put at a low level, that energy can only coalesce and resonate with lower frequencies. So anger, upset, sadness, and so forth. Those are lower frequencies. So I get to ask myself, what energy frequency will I put out? I'm going to put out compassion for you, that I understand you. I do not agree with you. I know you're not speaking from your highest self because you haven't even discovered what that is. So jealousy, envy, resentment, malice takes over. And these are low qualities and low levels of energy in which people walk in this world with.
And if you would like to be inspired and motivated and comforted a little bit more from Dr. Ward, please do free subscribe to my YouTube channel where you'll get the rest of that interview and more. I hope you've enjoyed this, my show number 582. I am so blessed and grateful, and you can tell I just hate my job. Sarcasm is another service I offer. I love my job. I love my life, and I love you. And I hope you love yourself, because that is the most important love that there is. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her loving room during the pandemic, reminding you that it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. And have the best day ever. See you tomorrow.